Hi there, Wally here. In today's video, you see an amazing subject, which is Red Hat Satellite Capsule. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, stick together and let's learn, because this will be amazing. Before we proceed, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, allow the notification, then once I release a new video, you will be notified. Take your preferred beverage, have a seat, and enjoy the video. Before we start, let's go to the whiteboard and see some examples, some idea about what is the capsule feature that we are talking about. So let's suppose this scenario. I have my data center in Canada, West Coast, and over there I have my satellite. So I have one specific server, satellite. Satellite was installed in that specific data center. And when installing the satellite, I can enable or disable some features. In the example I'm gonna use today, I don't have all those features enabled, but here are some examples, like content. I'm providing content, providing RPM packets, this kind of stuff. I can enable DHCP, DNS, TFTP, remote execution, Ansible, and much more. There are different features that I can enable on satellite, okay? And then I have a client. We call clients registered against satellite server or capsule server. We call those machines content hosts. So if someone talks to you, hey, what about my content host? Which content host? The data about that content host? Fear nothing, because content host is the server registered against your satellite or capsule server. In other words, any server that you have registered against your satellite environment will be considered content hosts. And this is also in our documentation, okay? So if you see content host, now you know what we are talking about. Then I have this node 01, and node 01 is consuming content from satellite server itself. Pretty good. Let's now put a different environment. And let's suppose that I have another data center, like my company is growing. This is success, amazing. I need one specific data center on East Coast, far, far away from West Coast. And I have this node. So what is the suggestion? Like, okay, I have one machine over there, one Red Hat Enterprise Linux. If I'm going to connect to my satellite, satellite.king.lab, can I do that? Eventually, yes, because I have my company or the network is resolving the name. That's okay, but can you imagine like East Coast to West Coast, that machine getting updates? So all of this traffic will be on my link, and eventually I can get my link a little bit bumped or in overusage, because all my clients will be using that link to any kind of operation. We are talking here for a very simple scenario, one content host, but let's suppose 100,000, 10,000, then now you can imagine the size of the volume of the data that we are talking about. Let's suppose that I go to that data center on East Coast and I try to provision like 100 machines, 1,000 machines, all of them getting content from the satellite on West Coast via internet. So now you can imagine my link. This is not a good situation, okay? How to resolve that? I can go to that specific data center and I can install one capsule. I can deploy one capsule. And Wally, what can I do on that capsule? I can put the same sort of content, or I can remove, or I can reduce, or I can add some additional features. So again, this is optional. You can enable and disable features on your capsule server. But in this example, what we can see is I have my satellite on West Coast. I have my capsule on East Coast. The capsule is the one that will be getting content from satellite, only the capsule. And then the capsule will sync the content, talking about content specifically. But you can see that we have the DHCP, DNS, TFTP, and all of them will be local operations. So in other words, if I go to my node 02 and enable, install a package, do something like this will be a local operation, okay? Pretty amazing. Let's suppose another scenario. Let's suppose that my company is still growing, which is amazing. Thank you, congrats. And now I have my third data center, and now I have in Brazil. So can I deploy a new capsule in Brazil? Yes, definitely I can. I can put the capsule 02 over there. And in that example, I can just enable the content because I don't have remote execution or Ansible or anything else on that specific scenario. For the sake of this video, I'm gonna stick only with this. I remove the Brazil data center from now, and then we can play with this kind of situation, this scenario, okay? If you have any question about external data center, capsule, how this works, let me know in the comments. But let's proceed with this session. Here we are. This is the satellite server. And if you take a look, I have satellite.king.lab. This is my server. And this is the client, the node 01. If you remember, node 01 is this. And this is connected directly through satellite server. Behind, I have a terminal. And then I added here some additional things like I have this terminal to satellite server. I have this to the node 1, which is the node connected to the satellite server. I have one terminal to the capsule and node 2. This capsule is not capsule yet. This is the purpose of this video. We will install this capsule together. And this node will be registered against that capsule. By the way, the version that I'm using here is Satellite 6.15. If you don't know about the version, I will keep in the cards a link about updates, upgrades, where I explain everything about the version. But you can see over here 6.15.2, okay? Satellite 6.15. Pretty good. So let me share the first bonus or maybe tip. This is the client. I can do yarn repo list. And yarn repo list is gonna bring back the repositories that I have. But if you add -v, this will increase the verbosity. And from here, we can see that I'm getting this content from the satellite server, satellite.king.lab, and I can see the full URL. In general, this is the name of the organization. You can see the organization over here. Library, I'm getting content from library. I'm not getting content from any content view. Wally, what is the content view? What is organization? How this was installed? There is another video over here, like a big champion. I'm gonna add this on the card as well. You can take a look on that video, and there I explain everything about like how to install the satellite, how to do the configuration, content view, composite content view, all this stuff. For this one, again, the sake is the capsule installation. All right, another configuration or another command that we can run here is subscription manager config. And subscription manager config is gonna give us some idea or some insights. Like I have, this machine is connected against satellite.king.lab, and I'm getting content from satellite.king.lab pub content. Amazing, this is good. You will understand better this one once we install the capsule and register the client on the capsule or against the capsule, because the expected behavior is to see the capsule name over here when running on the capsule, and the base URL will be getting content from the capsule as well. Pretty cool. Okay, where should I start? I have this page here, but let me open again docs.redhat.com. You can click on explore all products. Over here, you can type Ctrl F or Command F, search by satellite. Then you see Red Hat Satellite. You can click over there. Once I'm picking 6.15, I'll stick with this version. And there is this one, installing Capsule Server. As I said before, I like to pick this one, single page. And on this document, I recommend you to take a look on the whole document, okay? Read all of them because we have precious information. I'm not gonna read all of them with you guys, but let me get some specific information. One of them is system requirements. Don't run away off the system requirement, because if you try to, your installation is gonna fail. Or eventually you get your environment installed, but will not work properly, okay? So stick with this minimal configuration. This is gold. We have the explanation about storage requirements. And about this one, if you have any question reading this documentation, feel free to open a support case, and then the team will be more than glad to assist you with any questions that you may have. We have some guidelines here about the file system, the kind of file system that is supported, GFS2, 3, all the configuration about ports, firewall, all the ports that should be opened between them, the capsule and satellite server. And you can see that we have capsule income traffic and also outgoing traffic. We will not pass through them, but take a look. Also some ports, all the firewall configuration. All right, so in this case of the video, I'm keeping the firewall enabled, and we can check that. Let's take a look. systemctl, or maybe not, I don't remember. systemctl status firewall D. Yeah, the firewall D is enabled. So what should I do? I can just copy and paste this one and run on my capsule. Success. Allow some services. Okay, I will not enable DNS, DHCP, some of them, as I said before, but will not hurt if you add this one right now, because this will be already allowed in the firewall. And assuming that you enable some of them, like in a near future, this will be already over here. We can set the rule to permanent. And if we take a look on them now, there we go. We have all of them, all the ports, which is great. Well, if my firewall is disabled, should I do that? First of all, do not disable a firewall unless you are sure about what you're doing. I disable the firewall all the time in my labs because I have to do some sort of reproducer. And then, yes, this will be one less variable, assuming that the firewall is not the problem, the main problem. But in your case, if we are talking about production, then stick with the firewall, keep this enabled, and move it on with the documentation. I'm pretty sure that everything is gonna works fine. But if your firewall D is disabled, no, you can definitely skip this one. Okay, installing the capsule. First of all, we need to register to satellite server. I have to register this machine against the satellite server. And how to do that? In the satellite UI, I can navigate to host, register host. I can execute some commands, which I can execute some procedures, which will create for me the global registration, something like this. So let's do this. I can come to my webUI, host, register host. I have already my activation key over here. Let me pick insecure, advanced. I will not set up insights in this machine. And I will ignore errors and force. One thing that I would like to show you here in this page is capsule. See, there is no capsule yet. This is a nice point to check. Another nice information here is where can I see my capsules? We have this page, infrastructure capsule. Let me open in a new tab. And you can see that we have just one capsule, which is satellite server. Well, this is a bit complex because you are saying that we have the capsule, external capsules, but satellite is also a capsule. That's it. Satellite has an internal capsule, which has those features. So if you take a look, We have Ansible, Discovery, Dynaflow, Logs, OpenSCAP, Popcore, and Script. So we have all of them. I can enable, I can disable some features, and that's it. So Satellite itself has a capsule, a built-in capsule, okay? All right, let's close this one. Let's come back. So once registering against Satellite, I do not need to pick any capsule because the installer or the command will know this is the Satellite server. Okay, we have this. Let's click on generate. Then we have this command over here. I can just copy, return to my terminal. Be sure this is your capsule. If I run subscription manager config at this moment, I can see my machine is with the standard configuration, which is pointing to subscription.rhsm.redhat.com, and the content is coming from cdn.redhat.com. Okay, let me clean up. Not this one. Let me copy again, paste, and press enter. What this is gonna do is register this machine against Satellite. And at the end of the day, we should be able to see this machine consuming content, seeing the content from Satellite, and also be visible on Satellite webUI. Here we are. So the machine was installed, registered, we can see the UID, host capsule king.lab successfully configured. Let's do a double check on subscription manager config. We can see this one is getting content from Satellite now, and we can see the base URL is also pointing to Satellite as well. Yum repo list. You can see the repositories. Stick with the -v to add some verbosity, and then we can see some additional information. Capsule is one client of the Satellite server, so this should be very similar to the node 1. This one should be seeing the content from Satellite, as we can see here. All the capsules should act like this, okay? All right, pretty good. We can see the information, we can see the packets. This is working fine. Amazing. This one is registered. So we can return to host all hosts. And now we can see capsule1.king.lab. You can see some versions over here that are not too updated. This was on purpose. I was adding some old versions, but at the end of the day, all of them will be bumped to the latest version of the base OS. So we have the registration. We pass through the registration, attaching Satellite infrastructure subscription. I'm using the simple content access. Skip this step if you have simple content access enabled on Satellite. So let's skip it. Let me know in the comments if you are familiar with simple content access, how simple content access works, or if you have questions about simple content access. So configuring repositories. First of all, let's disable all the repositories. And why is that? Eventually, we can see some third-party repositories and we do not want to mess it up with them. So this is going to disable all the repositories that you may have in your machine. And then we can copy this one, which will enable only the repositories that we are looking for. Base OS, AppStream, Satellite Capsule 615, and Satellite Maintenance 615. All right, all of them got enabled successfully. No issue. If you see issues when doing this, stop, fix, and then you move it on. If one of them are not present, your installation is gonna fail, okay? Something is missing. Can be the capsule, can be the maintenance, AppStream or base OS. All of them are dependent because during the installation, we get packets from all of them. So don't skip this part. All right, we have one more step, which is to enable the Satellite Capsule module. This is gonna guarantee that when doing the installation, you get the exact same version of the package as we expect. For example, the version of Postgres, Ruby, Satellite Capsule, and maintenance. And about those warnings, don't worry, just accept and that's it. All right, optionally, you can verify. So we can definitely take a look. DNF repo enable just to be sure if they are enabled, or you can use yarn repo-v or DNF repo enable. I believe -v is gonna work as well. We can confirm. I'm not sure. So we can see the verbosity or verbose information. Let's see if this is gonna bump the verbosity as well. There we are. Pretty good. Okay, we have this optional feature called File Access Policy daemon that you can enable or disable. If you are not familiar with this, let me know in the comments. But at this moment, you can turn this on or off on your satellite server or capsule server. Installing, I believe I will not install. This is gonna add one specific layer of security. Yeah, let's do this. Let's install because I don't like to skip something that will improve the security of our server. So DNF install Fapolicyd. We can see 3 packets. After we can enable and start. Let me clean up. Let me share one more tip. Normally we see professionals doing something like this: systemctl enable service name, and after that systemctl start service name. You can kill 2 birds in a single shot, which is systemctl enable -- now, and then you can pass the service name. Okay, by doing that, this is gonna enable and start the service in a single command. All right, and from here we can just double check. Beauty, our daemon is enabled, active, running. There you go. Moving on, installing Capsule Server. See, anytime that you try to install a satellite server or Capsule Server, this will be requested. Hey, update your server. In other words, this machine was on Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8.6 or 8.7, something like that. Then, okay, we need to update. And keep in mind, when doing the update of your base OS, if there are changes related to glibc or kernel, restart your server, okay, before do anything else. We like to see that new kernel or the new version of the glibc in action. So this also will avoid some problems, assuming that you are installing some additional package and they are requiring or using the current version of the kernel or the glibc. So in the next reboot or the next restart, probably your application will not work properly. All right. Okay, let's wait for this to finish and I'll be back in a few. Great, folks, we are back and we can see the machine was updated to the latest version of the recording of this video, which is 8.10. I rerun the command yum update and there is nothing else to do, and this machine was already restarted. Amazing. Next step, let's install Satellite Capsule. So let me clean up the screen. DNF install satellite-capsule. This is the name of the package. And over here, if we scroll up, we can see that we have the satellite capsule and a bunch of packets. What I'd like to call your attention here is this. This is coming from the repository of Satellite Capsule. This is coming from Upstream. This is coming from BaseOS. Yeah, if one of them is missing, definitely this is gonna cause problems. And then you see some errors like dependencies. So, or broken dependence, things like this. Okay, so keep in mind that you need to enable those repositories that we have in our documentation and everything will be fine. So let's install this package. While that one is proceeding, let's move it on. Synchronization. I will not use the Chronyd here, or I can definitely set up this one and I'll be using the standard values. But if you have a time server in your environment, be sure that your machine is configured properly and getting the correct time, because different time or different dates can cause problems about certificates. And again, the installation can fail during this process. It is almost there. Awesome. The package was installed. Let me clean up the screen. Let me return. Definitely let me follow the procedure. And let's install Chronyd and Chronyd. Let me know in the comments if you know how Chronyd works. By the way, if you like to learn more about Chronyd and Chronyd, the daemon, how this works, and any detail, if you like to know, I definitely will be more than glad to create a video about that. So systemctl status, Chronyd. Okay, the service is already up and running using the default configuration. We are good to go. And here I have now the configuring the capsule server with SSL certificate. There are two kinds of certificates or two steps in this point that I would like to get your attention. One is if you're using the full certificate, which means Satellite is going to create the certificate, will sign the certificate, and everything will be a local configuration. Or if you have your custom certificate. So if you have a custom certificate, there is the step that we can generate a request. You have to send this request to someone else, like your CA. That CA will generate a PEM file. We have all this documented over here. For the sake of this video, I'm not gonna use the custom certificate. I'll be using the default certificate, the certificate that is signed by Satellite Server itself, okay? Satellite Server is our CA server. This is what this means. And then you can see that we have 271 and 272. 271 is this section. All of this is for self-signed certificate. And this is for custom certificate, 272. Then you can see that we can create a directory using the OpenSSL to create the search, the key, the request. We will not do this today. So procedure, requirements. Capsule server is registered to Satellite server. This is good. We have this one already. I mentioned this is 8.6. We just updated our server. And right now we can see the version is 8.10, which means the machine was updated and pushed the correct information to Satellite. Okay. So capsule server is registered through Satellite. That's okay. Capsule server packets are installed. This is also okay. On Satellite server, and this is right. You're not reading wrong. You have to do this on Satellite server. Okay. All the time we see people saying, hey, I tried to run this on my capsule server. This is not working. No, because you have to do this on your Satellite server. So let's pay attention on this carefully. On Satellite server, to store all the source certificate files for your capsule server, create a directory that is accessible only to root. For example, root capsule cert. And definitely you can copy and paste. This is okay. On Satellite Server, generate the file with this command. From here, if you paste, there are some alternatives. Like, let me try to return. You can see that I'm not able to return that far. So I would like to change the name of the capsule because the capsule on my case is different. So what can I do? I can open a text editor of your preference and paste that command and then edit that command. Or another way that you can do, let me skip this. Or another thing that you can do is just create a file. So local, and then I can paste, and from here I can just change the name. And if you are unfamiliar with the name of your capsule, please don't be. You can go to the terminal, you can type hostname. Eventually, if you see just a short name over here, you can put hostname-f. So let's copy, let's paste, and here is the same thing. Basically, what this is gonna do is we have one command, which is capsule cert generate. We are passing the parameter formal proxy fqdn. This will be the fqdn of your capsule server. And we have the certificates, which will be /root/capsule cert, the same directory that we created a few seconds ago, and the name of the file, .tar, okay? So we can save, exit. Once this is a simple command, I can do something like this, bash local. If you're not familiar with bash, I have some videos in this channel about bash. Feel free to take a look, and or let me know in the comments if you have questions about what's going on over here. I'll be more than glad to help. So let's execute this one, bash local. This is gonna execute that command, or you can definitely copy and paste. Will be the same thing. While this is running, we can return here, retain a copy of satellite installer, command that capsule cert generate command returns for deploying the certificates to your capsule server. The example will be something like this. Let's take a look over here. So that command was executed. To finish the installation, follow these steps. If you do not have the capsule registered for satellite instance, you have to do it. So you can install like this and then subscription manager register, but you know that we have already our capsule registered against satellite using the global registration, which was using the core command. So yes, we have already this step. We don't need to do this again. Once this is complete, execute the steps below. Ensure that satellite capsule package is installed. Again, let's take a look. Satellite capsule. And we can see that we have the package satellite capsule. So we are sure of that. Copy the following file. We have this file, but let's take a look. Capsule cert. We can see that the tarball file was created, and under this tarball file we have all the information that we need to install and deploy the capsule. Copying the following, this file to the system capsule1 on this location, /root / the name of the file .tar. Wally, how can I do that? We have already a command here for you, my dear friend. So feel free to copy this one, paste, authenticate, type the password, and voila. If we go to the capsule, now we have that file over there, okay? Maybe there are some situations that, hey, I don't have access from my satellite to the capsule directly. I have to go to the DMZ. I have to go to a jump server. No big deal. You can copy this file, put this file in any other place, and then upload this file to that specific server. But keep in mind that this should be on this path, /root / the name of the file. Do not rename the file, because if you do, you need to update this one as well. Okay? Pretty good. Now, run the following commands on the capsule, possibly with the customized parameters. See satellite installer -- scenario capsule -- help if you like to see some additional parameters. What? How can I see all the parameters, all the options? Again, I have another video over here in this channel just talking about all the flags on satellite, all the secrets. Go over there and take a look. But for the sake of this implementation, this is more than enough. You can definitely copy this one. Let's copy, go to the capsule, paste, and voila. One common question: do I need this one? Do I need to save this one? Eventually, normally no, I should say no, but eventually when doing some sort of debugging or troubleshooting, and specifically about the capsule, we need this one. Sometimes we can see this information in the history. This information will be over there. But sometimes when there is no other way, what we have to do is like recreate this tarball file and then deploy the capsule one more time. Okay, once again. So yeah, in your shoes, I would save this one. I would keep, at least for the sake of my piece. And then if necessary, you have this information, like the information that was used to install capsule A, B, C, and D. This definitely can help in case of problems. But as you know, satellite is free of problems. Eventually we can see some or other problems, but yeah, this is my tip. If you like to keep, that's okay. If you do not like to keep things like this, that is okay as well. Okay. All right. At this moment on this capsule or on this server, what we are doing is, or what is happening is, the satellite installer is reading this certification or this certification file, this tarball file. Under this tarball file, we have a bunch of certificates, a bunch of files, a bunch of informations that will create this relationship between the capsule and satellite server. And we have some additional information like formal proxy raster informant is true. The base URL will be from satellite, which means this capsule will be getting content from this satellite server. The trusted host is this one, trusted host is this one. Here we are talking about name, like the name of the server. I trust on satellite.king.lab and I trust on capsule1.king.lab. Okay, if I put any other name, maybe this is gonna work? No. And this is like for some internal service. So this is important for the sake of the SSL certificates, okay? And then we have some secrets, like some key and secret over here. Again, this is also used in the configuration, internal configuration. So don't worry, just copy and paste this command. This will be more than enough to deploy your capsule. Okay, this is gonna run for a bit. Let's wait this for finish and then I'll be back with you. Pretty cool. Take a look on that. Now we can see the satellite installer. We can see all these tabs and success. So anytime that you see the success, that means that the satellite installer, the command satellite installer was executed properly and ended up properly as well. So capsule is running on HTTPS capsule1.king.lab and port 9090, which is amazing. And then the full log for this installation, it's over here. So let me just return to the documentation and let's see this one. On satellite server, we can copy. We have this command on this section over here. on Capsule Server to deploy the certificate, just copy and paste and execute it. When network connection or ports to satellite are not yet open, you can change this option to false, because what will happen is the Capsule Server will try to reach out the satellite server, and if there is a blocker, this is going to fail. So definitely you can change this to false in case you do not have yet this port open. But in general, our recommendation is check everything, do all the setup that you need, all the network configuration, just to avoid problems. Once you have that done, create your package, execute this command, and everything will be fine, like this one. Okay, this is the expected behavior. And one more attention point here on this page: do not delete the certificate archive that you copied to your Capsule server, because that will be used once you execute Satellite Installer or when you proceed with the upgrade process. Okay, amazing. So now we have our capsule. Form and maintain service status-b. This is one command that you can use to check if the service is up and running. We can see that all the components from this capsule are okay, up and running. If we return to our satellite now, like here, will not change. We have this server, these servers over here. This will be the same entry, but we can click on infrastructure capsule. You remember that before was just satellite server, and now we can see the capsule server. Okay. Let's take a look on our documentation. This is for custom certs. Apply the custom certs on the client. Additional configuration, like if you have provisioning, remote execution using pool base, enabling OpenSCAP. Yeah, basically we have, like as I said before, we have a bunch of features that you can enable or disable, but in order to deploy a capsule server, basically that's it. So we have this capsule. This capsule is now okay. The capsule is over there, and the next step will be this one. So let me open both here, and I'm gonna show you the difference between them. This is the satellite server. Okay, we have just this information. Once we go to capsule server, you can see one slightly difference here: content. There is no content yet. So how can I get my content from satellite server and I can put on the capsule server? And also let me edit the satellite server, then you can see the difference. This is the satellite server. Okay, I'm just adding the capsule for satellite server. You can see that I have the name, I have the URL. I can change the alternate content source. This is not a topic of this video, but this is everything that I have here. Location, organization, just taxonomy, but let's take a look on this main page. When I go to the capsule, see we have two different things here that got my attention. Let's return. One is the lifecycle environment on the top. Another one is the download policy. Let's talk about both of them. First, download policy. On demand, immediate, stream, inherited from repository. On demand means anytime that we sync a content on satellite, I will download just the metadata, and then once the client requests that content, the package will be downloaded. This is valid for Red Hat or third-party repositories, but by default, we have some specific configurations for Red Hat or repository. This is just explanation about on demand. Immediate. This is gonna download everything from the repository. Like if I have one repository, can be a Red Hat or third party, and then that repository is 30 gigs, the capsule is gonna download all the 30 gigs to the local disk. Streamed. This will not download any content. This will download the content, will deliver to the client, but will not store in the capsule local file system. This is a new feature. and inherit from repository. This used to be the default. I was unaware that this changed, but now I can see this is not the standard anymore. When we set inherit from the repository, this information will be coming from the satellite, the information on the satellite repository. Let me keep this on demand. Let me show you the lifecycle environment. How satellite works. We have the concept of lifecycle environments, which is this one over here. Hosts, content, lifecycle environment. If you want, you can search from here, from the menus, or you can just come and type lifecycle. You will end up in the same page. We have a library, okay? And on library, we can see all the repositories, everything that was synced on satellite. So I have the default organization view, and then I have all the packets or all the repositories on that default organization view. I'm gonna create a video, talk specifically about all those tabs, but basically the main point is in our environment, we have just one environment right now, library. Wally, what is recommended? Can I create different lifecycle environments? Definitely you can. There are different scenarios for different approaches. Definitely this is a worth video, but for the sake of this one, I will just keep the library and we will sync the library to the capsule like this. Is this recommended? No, but again, for the sake of this video, just to be simple, be quick, definitely we can do that, okay? And eventually I get some customers like this. They have like their reasons to do that, but most of the time when we see this kind of scenario, definitely not. So I submitted, and basically what will happen now is we submitted. We have all those repositories on our satellite server, like the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Let me take a look here. Let me show you here. Content sync status. We have all those repositories, like Firewall 8, Base OS Upstream, Satellite Client, Maintenance, and Capsule, or Satellite Capsule. What will happen is when I add the library to the capsule, all those repositories will be available through the capsule. So if I go in, I add a third-party repository, all of them will be available on the capsule. Because of that, we do not recommend this kind of approach. Let's do this. Let me go and give you a bonus. I'm gonna create a lifecycle environment. So let's go to lifecycle environment, lifecycle, create environment path. This will be prod. Let's call this prod. Now I have this lifecycle environment. I will return to my capsule. Let me go from here. I'm gonna close some of the tabs. Infrastructure, capsule. We have this capsule. Let's add it. Lifecycle. See, I have that specific lifecycle and I have prod. Let's do this right. So prod. What is the main difference now? If I have multiple repositories on satellite side, library, I can add like a third-party repos. I can add 1, 2, 20, 100. This will not create a trigger that will sync to the capsules. Let's suppose that I have 20 capsules, 40 capsules, all of them syncing library. At the end of the day, if I add one repository, I'm syncing that repository to all of them, In this case over here, I will be able to see in the capsule only the content that I promote to prod lifecycle environment. Okay? So submit. That's it. This is what we have to do. So as a next step, now that I'm syncing that content, let me see here. Let's click on capsule, content. We have prod. And what do I have in prod? I have nothing. Okay, I have no content view, nothing at all. And I would like to create a content view now because I would like to register that server, the new one, this one over here, the node 2, against that capsule. So subscription manager config, we can see this machine was created, was deployed, but there is no information yet. This is still with the standard configuration. So let me do this. Content view. We'll create a content view called rel 8. Create content view. Show repositories. What kind of repo I would like to add? Upstream, base OS, and client. Only the three of them. Like the rel, the node 2 I would like to register is a rel 8. So I need the upstream, I need the base OS, and I need the clients in case I would like to install some additional packets. So add repositories. Now we have all of them. Okay. Next step, publish. And here is the trick. Like I can promote, and once I promote, I will pick the lifecycle environment that I have in that specific capsule. So once I do this, now I will be able to say that this content will be available in that capsule. So let's finish. Pretty cool. The content view was promoted and published. Wally, is this automatically synced with the capsule? Yes, the information is over there. As I said before, we have that configuration about on demand. So let me show you here again, capsule. If we click on content, now we can see the content view. You can see the version. If we added this capsule, this is on demand. What is the big deal here about on demand or inheriting? Let me show one more thing. We have content, products, and those are the repositories that we do have. So let's pick upstream, for example. If I scroll down, I can see the download policy. This is the download policy of the repository in question on that specific configuration on the capsule. If this is on demand, this will be on demand on the capsule. If this is immediate, this will be immediate on the capsule, which means on demand we'll download just the metadata and we'll download the package when requested. Immediate will download everything in a single shot. You set this one, you save, you ask to sync. This is gonna download all the packets. Is there any valid point to this? Yes, let's come back to this. When should I use immediate or on demand? So let's suppose we have those data centers. This capsule is getting content from satellite, okay? And then this node 2 will request iptraf package. What will happen is this little guy will request the iptraf package. The iptraf is not here yet locally. Then this will request to the satellite server. Satellite server will download this from CDN. We'll get this package back. We'll send this back to the capsule, and the capsule will send this back to the client. Now iptraf is over here. If someone else just requests, the file is already on capsule. Okay, this is on demand. If for any reason this server is down, what will happen is, let's suppose that this is my first request, my satellite is down, I requested iptraf, iptraf is not in the local disk. When capsule server tried to reach out to the satellite server, this is gonna fail, and then I'll get 404. Okay, this is one scenario. Now let's suppose that I came to my capsule and I said, hey, let's set this to immediate. So Capsule is gonna download all of them, all the packets. All of them will be on the Capsule, the local file system. Which means if my satellite server is down for any reason, maintenance, restart, whatever, when I try to install the iptraf, this will be 200. I'll be able to install the package because the package is already in my local file system. Real scenario about that, let's think about a ship in the middle of the ocean, a bad satellite signal or no signal at all. Let's suppose that they would like to install a package, and then can you imagine like this is on demand, and then let me try to connect, the connection is out 404 all the time. So for that kind of situation, for sure immediate it's like a requirement because all the package should be there, should be on the ship. Okay, if you have like a very reliable network, if you have a very reliable configuration environment, on demand can be like a good solution because this will avoid also the high consumption of your storage. So again, we need to check scenario for scenario just to say, okay, this is better for your situation. But basically you can see here when to use immediate or on demand. All right, returning to here, we can see the standard is on demand. And if you sync like third-party repo, the standard or the full configuration for third-party will be immediate. All right. And definitely you can change this on settings, administer settings. You can set, I would like everything to be immediate or everything to be on demand. All right, let's return to our capsule, or let's return to our infrastructure capsule. We can see that now we have a capsule. This capsule has some service like templates, container. It's over here because I made some resizing for the sake of this video, but definitely this can be improved. But we have container, Dynaflow, logs, popcore, registration, templates, and we can see that this is still syncing. The process of syncing, it's still happening. But now let's move it on. Let's try to register a new server. I'm curious. Maybe some part will fail when I try to install a package, but the registration for sure is gonna work. So I have my organization, my location. I'm gonna to use this activation key. But now check this out. I have the capsule. So if I'm picking the capsule, that means that I would like to register against that capsule. If I'm skipping the capsule, that means that I would like to register against my satellite server. And eventually, what can happen also is this node has no access to the satellite as well. Like we have firewall, proxy, blocker, whatever. This machine, node 02, will be able only to access capsule 01. Okay. So let's pick capsule. Let's set insecure. One more time, I do not like to set up insights. And that's it. You can also see that now here we have the link to the capsule, not to the satellite server anymore. This will access the port 990 and we can see a lot of additional information. Okay, this is node 2. Let's execute it. All right, I know what happened. This was on purpose. Validation fail, content view environment, content facet invalid. The content source must sync the lifecycle environment. Which one? Library. This activation key is looking for the library. So let's return to this one. Activation key. Let me open this in a new tab. Okay, we have this activation key. And if you see, I'm getting this content from library. Can I change this one automatically or directly? Yes, I can. And all the time when I try to register anyone, if I change this on this specific activation key, all the machines will be getting content from the lifecycle environment prod, and the content view CV_rel8. And that's okay. This is a good practice. Like, if you like to get the latest version library, that's okay. But when working with a content view and life cycles, this will definitely bump like your workflow, and you be totally sure about the version of the package that you have, all the content that you have. This is the best way ever. So let me set this one. Now this activation key is pointing to prod, and the content view is CV_rel8. That's it. I can just rerun this one because we are just pointing to the activation key. We updated the activation key. Everything here, it's still valid. This is pointing to capsule. And then there we go. Now we can't see any more errors, at least not until this moment. Very cool. The machine is registered. Let's come back to this one. Let's click on host all hosts. And now we can see node 2. You can see some additional information. This machine is consuming content from prod, this specific content view. But let's do more here. Subscription manager config. I can see now that this is using the base URL pointing to the capsule. And this is already registered against the capsule, not from Satellite Server. Yum repo list. We can see 3 repositories. And let's take a look on -v. Let's just be sure if this content it is already or not yet synced. You can see that we got 404, and the reason here is because Satellite is still syncing the content with Capsule. So let's do this. I'm gonna wait for the sync to finish, and then we can come back to this point. And we are back. Let's take a look on this. The sync was concluded successfully. And after this sync, if we came to content, we can see the content view, which is the same as before. In the client, before we executed yum repo list-v, and the response was 404. Basically, this was failing. And let me get your attention here. Which file? This is a RPM repository. Okay, so we have this repo md.xml, which is located on repo data directory under my specific folder, in this case OS of AppStream. And this was 404. That structure was not there yet. So once the capsule just finished the sync, all the process was concluded, and then I run one more time, yum repo list-v. I didn't clean up anything, no refresh, no cleanup, no re-registration, just rerun the command, yum repo list-v. Satellite was, or the client was able to download the metadata because this is on demand. Only the metadata was used to prepare the whole structure. And from here, we can see, like this is coming from Capsule. This is the name of the organization. This is the name of the life cycle. So organization is Acme, as we can see here. The life cycle is prod. As we know, we create this life cycle to move it on with the best practice. This is the name of the content view, CV_rel8. And then I have all my path up to that specific repository. And then we have all the information over here, which means the client was able to read properly this file, repo md.xml, and read the whole content, all the information, all the metadata, and prepare this nice and beauty information. Okay, amazing. If I try to do yum install iptraf, or before install, or let's use DNF, I know that you are saying, Wally, why are you still using yum? Let's use DNF. DNF search iptraf. Basically, DNF search is gonna check on the metadata if there is a package called iptraf, and we can see. If you're not familiar with iptraf, let me know in the comments below. DNF install iptraf. and then you say the package name is wrong because there is -ng. Yeah, this one was able to catch. So yes, and check this out. So what is happening here, guys, is the beauty of how Satellite and Capsule works, because now this client, let's come back to this one. This client is requesting a package from Capsule. Capsule has no package yet because we just finished the sync, but the sync was on demand, and then that was just metadata. The Capsule requested this package to the Satellite server. Satellite server also has no package, such package. Satellite downloaded from the CDN, send this to the Capsule. Capsule send this to the node, and the node is now happy. Because if we do rpm-qa iptraf-ng, we can see the package over there. The package was properly installed, and the package is currently local. It's okay. Let's take a look on this Satellite webUI one more time. We can see the node 2 here. Node 1, let me show in a different page, which is hosts, content hosts. Take a look on that. This is rel 8.8, 8.8. This is on prod, this is on library, different life cycles. Like once I changed my activation key, that will not affect my current system. I have to re-register, or eventually I can just access this machine and change to that specific lifecycle environment. I would like to give you a bonus. The information is pretty much similar here about them because the content is the same. Like I just synced it and just created the content view. But let's say I would like to update those machines. Can I do that? Definitely I can. So I can come to the terminal, yum update. Well, you could pass -y, and that should be doing exactly what you want. Yes, I could, but as I told you, this is a gift. So you can see that we have all the packets. I'm not gonna do this here because let's suppose instead of 2 servers, I have like 20, 200, 2000. I would like to update all of them. I can pick them, select action. Let me see if I can do from here. I cannot because we are on this host content host, but let's do this. Let's go to host all hosts. I'm gonna pick them, select action, schedule remote job. Assuming that you have the remote job, and we know that we do because of this. Let me show you. Hosts, register hosts. Once I register, I set this one to yes. This is the standard configuration. Yes. So because of that, I'm pretty sure, pretty confident that my Rex is executing on all of my machines. Okay. If you don't know how to set up or how Rex or remote execution works, fear not. Pretty soon, I'm going to create another video specifically talking about remote execution on Satellite. But for the sake of this video, this should be okay. So we have this one. From here, let me take a look on this. We have one little guy, which is Catello. And install errata by search. So let's go to next. From here, I can set one specific query or filter, but no, I would like to install all the errata available. I can select next. I can run some pre and post commands. For instance, if I would like to update or restart the machine after, I can put in a post script like the shutdown -r and then set the time or when that machine will be restarted. This is one way. And then from here, I'm not gonna restart, but I should be able to run this on all the servers. So let's do it. What will happen is, look at that, one of them failed. node 01, but let me take a look on node 02. We can see this machine is able to read all the information, all the packets that will be updated, and it is updating. And this is live, this is happening. If you like to see the command, check this out. You can click on toggle command, and then you can see all the errata that was or that will be installed. So yum-y update minimal, and then advisory blah 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 blah, yada yada yada. And this is pretty awesome. Let's take a look why the first one didn't run properly. I'm curious. Okay, maybe when I registered this machine, the remote execution was not properly set up. Wally, can we fix that? Yes, let's re-register. All the ways to fix the configuration about remote execution, I'm gonna keep to the new video, but for the sake of this, definitely we can. Let me stop this one real quick. Let's take a look on the commands. Yeah, definitely I believe I didn't add the remote execution here. So let's do this, register hosts. We will be using the same activation key, which means this machine is gonna get the content from that specific lifecycle environment and content view. The rex is yes, the insights will be no. Let me copy, deploy this one, and let's take a look. While this is running, let's check the status of the node 2. Yeah, a lot of packets to be updated. All right, this machine got registered. Another nice tip here, subscription manager identity. This is gonna show you real quick if the machine is registered. We can see that yes, because this is the information. We can see the organization name, organization ID, lifecycle environment, and content view. This is pretty cool. Let me do this. Let's come back to this machine. This is node 1, schedule a job. Let me just send a date, and then we can be sure if the remote execution is working. Yep, it is working. So from here, I can rerun, and I can get that one, the Catello. Install errata by search query. We don't need it. Let's just run. And let's see. Pretty good. Now we have this machine also updating. We have the node 1 here. You know that I like top. You can see that we have the minimal installation on node 1. Let's check on this one as well. You can see that we have minimal dash dash advisory. See, this is almost done. Let me reduce this a little bit more, then we can see those commands. Advisory, Red Hat bug fix advisory, which is the same from this area. All right, with that said, we can return to this page or content hosts. We can see that this is 8.8, 8.8. At the end of the day, they will be 8.10. At this moment, also, you can see this one got updated because we re-registered using the same activation key. And in the activation key, we have these sets, okay, the lifecycle environment and content view. Once they are finished, like this information over here will get updated. They will bump to 8.10 and no more errata, bug fix advisory, patch, nothing else over here. Just to finish this one, let me show one more thing. In this text field, you can search by registered through, which is pretty good. Let's say that I would like to know all the machines registered through satellite. And then I can pick satellite. And voila, I know that from my satellite, the machines consuming content from my satellite specifically, it is capsule 01. This is registered against satellite or through satellite, and node 01. If I would like to see anything different, I can use the regular expression here. And then we have node 2. So I'm pretty sure that node 2 is registered against someone else. If I have multiple capsules, this is not too useful because it can be on any other capsule. Then what I can do is just pick the capsule. And then I'm pretty confident that node 02 is registered through capsule 01. Okay. And from here I can combine some information like satellite, and check this out. We have a bunch of information over here. Lifecycle environment, lifecycle environment, environment ID or lifecycle environment, lifecycle environment. This is the one I'm looking for. Equal library or prod. I like to see library. Then I know that this machine is consuming content from library. However, if I like to see prod, I can just pick prod, and then I can see that. Okay, this is a cherry, just a gift for you. Let's do this just to finish this video. I'm gonna wait for this to finish properly, get updated, and then I will come back to you. So exciting. Check this out. This is the page of the first page, the first process that we sent about the two of them. So if we take a look over here, this is the complete output of that updated package. And we can see at the end of the day that those packets got updated, completed. Again, I didn't put to restart those machines, but we could, and that's okay. And if we come back, this is 50% because the first one passed, the second one didn't. I could like redeploy the configuration, the activation key, and just rerun this job. This should be enough to fix, and 100%, we get 100% over here. But what I did was push a new one, okay? And this new one, we can see a very, very similar information, like the updated and everything else. So from here, before this one finish, I came to this page and I just refresh the page, and we can see that we have already 8.10. So now let's do the refresh, and there you go. Now we can see rel 8.10. So basically that's it. Like you can see how simple it is to, I know, a lot of steps, but it is simple, pretty well documented. At the end of the day, you can see the whole information over here, what is synced, what are those services, and you have this amazing infrastructure. Again, anytime that you think something like this, and also if you like to think about more areas, more capsules, more data centers, like this is definitely the best way ever to improve your satellite environment. Okay, so folks, that's it. This is a huge request that was receiving a lot of guys around the globe asking for capsule implementation, how to do this, what is the best practice, some nice approach. Definitely not adding the library is definitely one of them. So think always to add your lifecycle environment, and then just add one specific or some lifecycle environments that you may need. Yeah, this is amazing. So feel free to share with your friends who are already working with satellite, all of them that maybe are not working yet but are interested to learn more about satellite or format. The concept is pretty similar, and I hope you enjoy. So I'll see you in the next video. Take care.